So this place here is a place in Death Valley. It's called the Ranch at Death Valley, as you can see. This is a high-end resort. It costs you about $300 to stay here, off-season, don't forget. And they boast everything from golf to tennis to an amazing pool, which by the photos is true. You can scroll through the website to look at it. So anyways, we stayed out there on May Day weekend for one day. Bear in mind, we got out there. We then find, as it's blistering heat in Death Valley in the hundreds, that the pool wasn't working. So they say to us, oh, well, we forgot to tell you, but the pool isn't working, but you can use our sister pool. Now, don't forget, with this site in particular, the Ranch at Death Valley, although they've taken the picture down, the picture of the pool was humongous. It was really big. That was one of the reasons we went, because it's in the middle of summer in Death Valley and it'd be great to go to a pool there. We went to their sister hotel a mile up the road. The pool was packed from everyone from our place over there, plus the people staying at that other place, at that sister hotel. And there was no room to sit anywhere. Not to mention people who were there weren't even staying there, were just walking in off the street. So the pool was packed, so you couldn't sit anywhere. So we stayed there for about 45 minutes, got a drink and left. We came back to the room. I took a shower. The showers had hairs on the wall. It was filthy. There was no shower gel in the shower gel box. Okay, no big deal. I can deal with that. Wasn't happy about the pool, you know. It wasn't filth, you know. It was had hairs on the walls that obviously hadn't been cleaned very well, if at all. And the gel hadn't been filled. Again, first world problems, not huge. So when I get out of the shower, I tried to call reception, no answer. I then go over there, and then they said they'll come out and put some gel in there. So that's fine. So then I tried to connect to the internet, which after about 3 or 4 attempts I managed to. My wife doesn't manage to connect the whole time. But then when I do connect, it cuts off every 15 minutes. And I'm like, okay, this is annoying. So this is a 3-star, or rather a 5-star resort I paid $300 a night for. So on top of that, we then go out for the evening, come back, and I then put the AC on. The AC's been on around the 74 mark. It gets really warm in the evening. I try to put it down to like 70, 68, something like that. It doesn't work. It's stuck at 74. I'm like, that's bizarre. So I think, what is going on here? I then try it many times throughout the night, and it kicks on, kicks off the AC, it doesn't work. I then, at that point, in the next morning, go out to the front desk when we're about to check out. We spent one day here. Glad we didn't spend more. The woman at the front desk says to me, oh yeah, well, it stops at 74. I said, what do you mean? I'm in Death Valley. She goes, well, most places out here, they don't go any lower than 74. I said, that's insane. I'm in Death Valley in a desert. You're telling me the AC stops at 74 degrees? She goes, yes. At this point, I'm furious. We have about 5, 6 things go wrong with this place. On top of it, I hardly got any sleep because the AC, you know, stops at 74 degrees. I said, I've lived in Vegas and various other places in the desert where it goes down to the 60s. I said, the fact that you're a 5-star resort and it stops at that seems somewhat insane. She goes, yeah, it is what it is, with a smile on her face. I then find out this company, or this hotel, is owned by a company called Xanterra, and you can look them up, Xanterra. I then called them up to complain about my issues. They said, send me an email. We don't talk to them on the phone, send us an email. I sent them an email. I didn't hear back for about a week. I then called up. I then spoke to the receptionist of the hotel manager. She was very helpful. Put me through to him. The fact I've already sent an email to the corporate office didn't bode well with the chap. His name was Darren Leo, I believe. He then proceeded to tell me that I didn't have a right to complain about the AC not working properly. And I said, well, it's not working properly. I said, it only goes to 74 degrees. He goes, sometimes it only goes to 76. I said, why is that? He goes, we don't want broken condensers every year. And I said, well, no, I think you're just cheap. That's what it is. I said, nothing works in your place. It's dirty, it's filthy. No one answers the phone. And you're charging top dollar, and you're worried about putting your AC below 74 degrees to like 68 or something. I said, I lived in Vegas and had all this. Anyways, long story short, he didn't like me using the word cheap, even though it's true, because they were cheap. They wouldn't go lower than 74 degrees. He then started mimicking my accent, which was actually vaguely amusing. Some guy from the South mimicking my accent, trying to do a British accent, which was pretty funny. But this guy is a manager of a high-end hotel. Obviously didn't like me telling him the truth. So that was pretty much where it left off. So if you ever get a chance to stay at the ranch in Death Valley or the inn in Death Valley, they're both owned by the same people. These hotels are owned by a company. They're owned by the parks in Death Valley, but they're leased out through a company called Xanterra. Look them up online. They're supposed to do high-end resorts, but everything about them is cheap. You can't get hold of anyone to complain because no one returns the calls. You know why? Because they're cheap and they don't care. So again, do not stay at this place. It's nothing but cheap and nasty. And don't forget, your AC only goes down to 74 degrees. Go and test it. I'm not lying. Only goes down to 74 degrees. You're 112 degrees out there, and it only goes to 74. Why? Because they're cheap. Thank you, Darren Leo. I appreciate it.